Welcome to my show. I hope you like houseplants, 'cause we're gonna talk about 'em and touch their leaves. Thanks so much for joining me, you guys. Today I'm doing a winter sowing video. If you've never heard of winter sowing, it's a really interesting method. It's where you start winter hardy or cold hardy seeds outdoors. And if you live in a cold climate or a climate that has 4 distinct seasons like I do, starting seeds indoors kind of has its ups and downs. So starting seeds outside is kind of an interesting thing. You know, when you start seeds indoors, they can be kind of wimpy, they're really pampered. They're not really, used to that, really cold outside temperature, those cold winds, those nighttime temps. So you have to do this thing called hardening off, where you take your seeds that were raised indoors and you put them outside a little bit during the day, and you bring them in, and you put them outside a little bit more, and you bring them in, and you do this over and over and over again until your indoor seedlings, your little plants that you started indoors, are used to the conditions outside. And if you're not careful, you can burn your seedlings, and you burn them with the cold or the wind or the sunshine, and they die. And it can be really frustrating when you've spent weeks or even months raising these little baby plants indoors only to accidentally kill them when you're trying to put them outside. So this year I decided with my cold hardy seeds, I was gonna try them outside. The benefits of doing this method, this winter sowing method, is that supposedly they're supposed to be ready to go out in the ground outside right away because you've started them outside. And the benefit of doing it in these little, you see I've got all these plastic containers. The benefit of doing it this way is that you don't have to really wait for the soil outside in the ground to warm up to plant your seeds directly into the ground. You can put a little soil into one of these milk cartons, or in this case I'm cutting open an apple juice container and I'm putting drainage holes in the bottom so that water can freely drain out. I'm going to put a little seed starting mix in there, and that bottle is going to act like a little bitty cold frame. And it's really nice because I'm recycling bottles that otherwise would have just gone straight to, straight into the recycling. So I'm repurposing them as a little bitty cold frames. And it's going to keep some little extra moisture in. It's going to trap a little extra heat from the sun. And it's going to give those seeds a little bit of a head start. Just get them to jump up a little bit early. But they'll still be exposed to a little bit of extra cold. They'll still be exposed to that bright outside sunshine. So hopefully, if this works and these seedlings pop up, they'll be able to go straight into the ground once the nighttime temperatures stay up above freezing consistently. So here, these first seeds I'm sowing are Baptisia, which is false indigo, which is a native in my area. Full disclosure, since this is the first time I'm trying this winter sowing method, I dug into my seed box and I found a bunch of really, really old native seeds that I got for free, and I'm talking like 2015, 2016. They're very old, so I have no idea if they're gonna germinate. Hopefully some of them will. So I'm planting really heavy. So if you try this out, don't plant as heavy as I am. Like, I'm really going overboard here because I'm counting on at least half of them not coming up, if they come up at all. So I've got about 3 to 4 inches of seed starting mix in the bottom, nice and moist. Putting my seeds in, and then I'm taping it back closed. You can use duct tape or packing tape just make sure it's a strong tape that'll hold it closed until those seeds come up. It's gonna take at least a few months. Now I did this back at the end of February, early March, and they're still out there now. So that tape needs to hold, okay? It's gotta be strong tape. And you leave the caps off. It needs to breathe. Up next we got common milkweed. Now these are new seeds, but it was, you know, I think there was only like 50 seeds in the packet, so I went ahead and I just threw them all in there. You know, I just threw them all in there. You know, why not? I figure I can always collect more seeds. Common milkweed, it's common milkweed. I can get seeds lots of places for this guy. So the general rule for seeds is plant them as deep as the seed is big. So if you've got, you know, 1/4 inch long seeds, plant them about 1/4 inch deep. So for those milkweed, I put just a little sprinkling of extra soil on top of the seeds. Next up we got pale purple coneflower. This is a really pretty plant. I have some regular purple coneflower. Now echinacea is one that there's a lot of really cool hybrids out there. It's like a cultivated plant. You can find really hot pink and red and white varieties out there, but I have a special place in my heart for the ones that exist in nature that haven't been cultivated or hybridized. And pale purple coneflower and then your regular purple coneflower are the ones that exist naturally in nature in my area. Now this bag is a mystery bag. I have this bag of seeds and I don't really know what they are, but they're either brown-eyed Susans or black-eyed Susans. So they're either a Coreopsis or a Rudbeckia, and I'm not 100% sure. Again, they're ancient, and there's gotta be like 5,000 seeds in that bag. I don't even know. I'm not 100% sure where I got them from. I think I originally got them to do some eco-terrorism and to make seed bombs for throwing into ditches and places where there's a bunch of ugly stuff going on and to make it more beautiful. And then that never happened. So you see I labeled them some kind of something. We'll see if they even come up. And then at that point I'll be able to make a positive identification. And then maybe I'll finally make those seed bombs. And that would be a pretty fun video to make, I think, because I'm definitely, you know, I want to encourage you guys to do some eco-terrorism, right? Next up we have Rattlesnake Master, which is a really cool native plant. It's really funky looking, really awesome, and it's called Rattlesnake Master because many parts of the plant, including the root, and especially the root, was traditionally used by Native American tribes as a remedy for rattlesnake bites. So really interesting and a really funky looking plant, very drought tolerant too, so a nice one to have. Then I got kind of creative with containers. My mom gave me most of those containers. Shout out to my mom. I don't drink dairy milk, so it's kind of hard for me to find a bunch of milk jugs. And I typically actually kind of try not to buy things that come in single-use plastic containers, so it was kind of hard for me to find plastic containers to begin with. So my mom gave me a bunch of those milk containers, but I had an applesauce container. So this is an applesauce container. It's kind of small, but I'm going to put some little blue stems in here, which is a native grass. Very pretty. It's got a nice blue color to it, just like the name implies. And the nice thing about natives too is that their roots go super, super deep. So if you've got an area in your yard where you've got some erosion or you have a lot of water issues where you've got water pooling a lot or runoff problems, natives are the way to go. Their roots do not just sit at the surface of the soil. They go deep. In fact, native grasses can go like 14, little blue stem is like 14 feet deep down into the ground. They're really cool. Next up is a rum bottle. I mean, why not? Let's try it out. Admiral Nelson, plastic rum bottle. Hot tip. When you're cutting your drainage holes, put them in the lowest point on your jug. See, I'm not cutting drainage holes in here. I'm cutting them on the ridge, at the lowest point. Cutting drainage holes down here in this area is not going to do a whole lot because the water is going to drain to the lowest point, right? So, all right, and yes, we are drinking cheap rum. We did just remodel our kitchen, so yeah, we're drinking Admiral Nelson, so, you know, it's fine, it tastes good. Next up we got side oats grandma. Again, a really cool native grass, really pretty. The little inflorescence sort of dangle really elegantly in the breeze. It's just got a lovely movement and it makes this really soft rustling sound in the wind. Really a gorgeous underrated grass. And I used to, you know, kind of dismiss grasses as being boring and really go for like the really bold, pretty flowers. But grass is really understated and underappreciated in my opinion. So now we're gonna put these bad boys outside. Again, this was like late February and I decided to place them along the south facing wall of my cinder block raised bed garden because it gets nice and warm there, but it is relatively sheltered from wind. So I didn't have to worry about them blowing over in the winter or anything like that, but they would get good sun here. And then another thing too is make sure that they don't dry out. So I was going out here and sort of like jamming some snow down in their mouths just to make sure that, you know, there was enough snow melt going down in there and that that soil was staying nice and moist. And I also did a few others. I did some Yarrow, and I did some non-natives. I did some Love in a Mist and some Giants. What is it? Oriental poppies. I put out there as well. And the Yarrow came up right away. So here, this is like this weekend. This is March 25th. And there's some deer in the backyard because we trimmed our apple tree and the branches are on the ground. And the deer just were like, yes, please. I'll eat some tasty little apple branches that I normally wouldn't be able to reach. Thank you. Little deer buffet. So they actually didn't run away. They stayed there while I did this little clip to show you guys how things are going. So everything's looking good. Nothing else is coming up, but the Yarrow came up right away. And we're still dropping below freezing every single night. There's not a single night where we're above freezing yet. We're still in the high teens to like high 20s every single night. And look at those Yarrow. They're teeny tiny seedlings and they're just sticking it out. So I'm feeling optimistic that I'm going to get at least some good healthy plants out of this method. So thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you liked my plans. Go and have yourself a real nice day, and I'll see you next time.